listening to Diminishing Returns, the podcast about sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and reboots. I'm Chris Scott. And across from me, he's the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. It's Mr. Alan Johnson.
How you do, pod people?
Yes, this is another one of our bonus in-betweeny non-franchise episodes. In this, we just talk about like sequel news, trailers, and whatever the hell we want without being bound to a single franchise or by the laws of physics. And we usually start this with the news segment where Alan, who has researched this because frankly his life is empty, will tell me about sequel news, stuff that I almost certainly will not have read because I have a life filled with dubious pleasures. And you will get my unvarnished and hopefully entertaining reaction, but we do not promise that second part. Alan, what's the news this week?
Well, our most recent franchise episode was about Tomb Raider, and with the release of the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider reboot.
Vikander? I hardly know her.
And so there was a little story in the press about Angelina Jolie taking 5 of her children to see Tomb Raider. It turned out to not be true. She was actually taking them to see Love, Simon instead.
Oh, is that the one about the gay kid?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've seen the trailers for that.
So Angelina Jolie, you know, there was other stuff about her giving her seal of approval to Alicia Vikander, but she hadn't even gone to see the movie.
I mean, also I love the fact that it's like, oh, she's giving her seal of approval. Yeah, because I'm sure the Tomb Raider franchise is very dear to her heart.
Yeah, she's
dear
lost
her bosom
sleep over it.
Anything. Come on, guys.
But I suppose the good news for video game movies is that Tomb Raider 2018 now has a 52% Rotten Tomatoes rating. So it's now the highest rated video game movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's like being second toughest in the infants, isn't it, really? Oh, that's great. This is just average. Well done, Hollywood. You made an average film.
So more reboot news, and obviously riding high on the chemistry from Thor Ragnarok, some Hollywood genius has decided to re-team Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth in the Men in Black reboot.
Interesting.
So
she's cool. I like her.
Yeah.
Everything that she's been in, she's been good.
Yeah.
And you know what? So's the Hemsworth lad.
Apart from that horseback Afghanistan war movie.
That sounds terrible.
So yeah, that's Valkyrie and Thor being re-teamed for the Men in Black reboot. But the makers have said that it's not like an extension of the Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones.
It's a proper reboot.
K&J. So they're going to play new characters, and it's going to be more of an ensemble piece instead of the kind of two-hander that the Men in Black films were previously.
I don't know about you, but I'd probably enjoy a two-hander. Jokes about Jack in it. Go on. Right, but yeah, sure, that sounds great. I mean, the film also sounds like it'll be probably average.
I think a lot of the Men in Black success was Will Smith was a bona fide blockbusting star at that time.
I mean, he was leading us into the millennium.
It was his for the taking. Also, that pre-millennium tension that we were all experiencing meant
It's my favourite kind of tension.
Yeah.
After pre-menstrual.
Meant that there was a lot of like kind of X-Filey under attack from aliens at any moment.
I think we also got to give props to Mr. Barry Sonnenfeld.
Oh yeah,
who was on a wee run at that point of some cracking wee films.
He'd schooled through the Coens and then struck out on his own.
Get Shorty.
Adam's Family Values.
2 fantastic films.
Maximum Bob, that TV thing, the other Elmore Leonard.
Which is was really fun, and also had the expression that I use a surprising amount is, let's play carnival, you sit in my face and I'll guess your weight. I got that from Maximum Bob. It's amazing the things that stick in your brain. I can't remember really what I did 2 weeks ago, but that bit of filth from a TV show from 1998 that was not a successful TV show.
Absolutely not.
Has stuck in my brain, and I remember I was about to say it one time and somebody else, this guy that I know was like, he said it as well, and I was like, holy shit, and both of us was like, yeah, how's that stuck in our head? It's a guy called John Carruthers. Well done, John. Yeah, fucking Barry Sonnenfeld. But did he not then make a couple of shit films?
Yeah.
What did he make? It was shit again.
Wild Wild West.
Yep, Wicca Wow Wow West. It's a massive bomb.
Yeah, then it's Men in Black 2, which is terrible.
That's right. All right, Barry Sonnenfeld. Cool. Hopefully we've got some more news.
Yeah. So back to the 90s, and Universal currently have a Backdraft sequel in development. And before you say anything, I am glad to say Billy Baldwin is back on board.
So he's free.
He's free.
Who'd have thought it?
Apparently it's going to deal with Kurt Russell's now adult son, who is himself a vampire investigator, and he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder about Billy Baldwin's character.
I'm hoping it's going to be like Jaws 4, where like the fire like follows the kid
It's
to like
sentient, it's
yeah,
just
and
like-
kind of follows the kid to like when he goes on holiday and shit, goes to different places. It's like, oh, I'm in Cape Verde.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait a minute, there's a fire that killed my dad. Ah.
So a kind of random sequel to be having, you know, like
I mean, that shows you how
1991 Backdraft came out.
I was referencing Backdraft to somebody the other day, right?
No,
And
really,
as soon
is it
as- I
still,
know.
still just in the
Well,
zeitgeist?
here's the thing. As soon as I said it, the people that I referenced it to did not react in any conceivable way. I'm pretty sure they were just like, he said 2 words. I think he thinks it's a film. It doesn't matter. Because that was quite a big Hollywood film of like 1991, I want to say, or something.
1991,
Yeah? Did you say that earlier on?
Yeah.
That might have been where I got it from then. I would have guessed 91. But it's one of those sort of like big Hollywood films that, like you say, it's not in the zeitgeist. It's not like, unless you're a weird fucking film-loving middle-aged man like me
a Ron
who's like,
Howard, Billy Baldwin or Kurt Russell completist,
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
really going to be.
if you're not like, oh, I've got a cultural reference that's going to spice up this conversation. Guys, remember Backdraft? And then they look at you blankly. Other than me and maybe you.
Although I remember going to Universal Studios in LA in the early noughties and going the Backdraft ride, which is, it was a sort of like live theatre show and they set stuff on fire.
I mean, all I remember about Backdraft was like the kind of, if you opened the door and you let the air in, the
That's
draft
the
from the back.
Backdraft, yes.
And they explained what that was, I think, in the trailer. And I remember as like 11 years old wee guy going, oh, that's quite cool.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing the film, and I remembered somebody died. I couldn't remember who it was. It was Kurt Russell, evidently. And I forgot that fucking Billy Baldwin was in it.
There you go.
I mean, even me, who evidently has a tattoo of this film on his back, a la Ben Affleck's.
Did you see
crazy
Ben
tattoo.
Affleck? It made me think that it was Fox from the Harry Potter franchise. I thought, is he really into Dumbledore's Phoenix that he's got?
I was going to go for like Red Dragon. Like, I thought he was like some sort of serial killer. But yeah. If you've not seen Ben Affleck's back tattoo, I mean, see it. I'm a big Ben Affleck apologist. But there's some things that even I'm like,
There's no excuse in that.
that's Crazy Town. By that I mean it looks like it was a tattoo from a band member of Crazy Town.
Butterfly.
So come my lady,
Yeah.
so be my like. I get generally that kind of works, that reference, because those are the sort of douchebags that would have that sort of shitty tattoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So yeah, there's a Backdraft sequel. Ooh, God, all the Backdraft fan communities will be fucking up and arms about the cast on
the
that.
message boards are alight.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Disney are pushing ahead with another live action remake of one of their movies. Obviously, this massive success of Jungle Book led to the live action remake of Beauty and the Beast,
Which was an even massiver success.
even bigger. We're awaiting Guy Ritchie's surely going to be Titanic at the box office Aladdin live action remake.
Aladdin, you can't. No, Vinnie Jones was a fucking revelation as a genie. I mean, of all the people, Vinnie Jones. You got fucking 3 wishes, you can't.
So we've got Aladdin on the way,
Right.
but now Disney have decided to plump for a live action Lady and the Tramp reboot.
So by that, like, it's going to be like in Spaceballs, where it's just like 2 people dressed in dog outfits,
Well,
like,
that's
like
the thing.
Barf.
I hope it's like the musical Cats.
Nobody wants anything to be like the musical Cats.
I think a more avant-garde choice might be in order for me to want to see this is to have an
do you-
entirely human cast and then also like 2 humans
Yeah.
dressed as dogs.
You can have like a Dogma 95 version of Lady and the Tramp. Fucking-
Instead of a gender swap, let's have all the human roles from the cartoon played by dogs and
Yeah.
all the dog roles in the cartoon played by humans.
Finally. You know what? As ridiculous and dumb as that idea most definitely is, let's be clear, Disney, I ain't gonna watch some CGI bullshit Lady and the Tramp, but if you have dogs playing humans and humans playing dogs, you're gonna get my fucking £10. Make of that as what you will.
Nick Cage finally gets his dream of playing Superman. It will be the cameo in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which is the first big screen outing for the cartoon TV series, which, if you have not seen, is brilliant. And it's everything that DC movies should be on screen. Fun, irreverent, colourful. The Teen Titans, a group of Robin, Beast Boy, Raven,
I've heard of one of them.
Cyborg.
Oh, I've heard of him recently.
Cyborg. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because obviously Nick Cage in the the 90s was meant to be Superman in Tim Burton's Superman Lives,
Yep.
which is now living on in internet infamy because that was where they were going to dispense with the classic costume and had a sort of illuminated costume. So there's loads of sort of production photographs of Nick Cage in the light up Superman suit.
Yeah,
which,
I've seen those. I mean, that's one of those projects that sounds dead interesting. I don't know if it would have been good, but it would have been. And there's a thing, right? While that might have been awful and we'd all been like, oh, that's so not true to Superman, blah, blah, would that be better than the kind of average mush that we have? You know what I mean? Like, pretty rare that you get to see a film that comes out that is just this one person's went wild with this idea. Like, even Fantastic Four, which could have been, the studio obviously recut things and reshot things.
This is
Josh Trank or whatever his name is, yeah. You know, like that most recent Fantastic Four. Yeah, not the two ones before that, which were masterpieces. Compared to the newest one, yeah, I suppose they are.
Was that just Sony's attempt at making a good Fantastic Four film was just to make a terrible one so that the previous one looked amazing?
Looked better, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like studios are more likely, I think, step in and stop things from happening. Whereas I know it was in development hell and stuff and didn't actually get made. I kind of get the impression, like in the 80s and the 90s, it was more likely that you would see a fucked up disaster of a film. That was one person's crazy vision.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's going to be like, this person's crazy. Whoop, Ron Howard's in. We're fine. We're fine, guys. We've solved it. It looked mental. I kind of feel like it would have been good to see whether it would have been good or not.
Yeah, I mean, Superman in its true kind of nature is much more of a sci-fi comic. Superman has big adventures and quite often intergalactic adventures.
Yeah.
And obviously he's come from another planet. So there's always been a big sci-fi influence there. And I don't know what the script for Burton's Superman film was. I guess around that time as well, that was when they were going through Doomsday and the death of Superman.
I don't know if this is true or not, but part of my brain's saying me Brainiac might have been in it, which would have been you're talking in that sort of vibe, that sort of sci-fi space vibe. Yeah. Brainiac's your guy.
Yeah, and finally, just so we can talk about this movie, there was recent news that Rob Hall planned to remake a movie called Chopping Mall. Have you ever heard of that?
No. I like that title a lot. It makes me very happy.
Yeah.
But I also know that you're going to bore me about it for 2 minutes. I can't even be happy about how cool a title that is, because I know you're going to go and like tell me how it's like a classic of the genre, right?
No.
And how
killer robots or security in this shopping mall, and there's an exploding head. That's what you need to know. There's killer robots and an exploding head.
To be clear, you are selling it to me because that sounds great.
But the reason horror fans were up in arms about Rob Hall
is it because the robots are going to be women?
There was going to be no robots.
Oh,
he had revealed he had revealed plans that it was going to be more like The Fog, set in an abandoned mall, and the story was going to centre on mannequins possessed by the souls of the dead.
What's just like shitty autons?
Such a terrible idea. Like when you could have killer robots that are blowing people's heads up, and you swap that for possessed mannequins.
When they say, if somebody asks you if you're God, you say yes. Right? If somebody thinks, should I have killer robots in my film? You say yes.
You say yes.
It's like the golden rule of filmmaking. You know, when they made that film with a train going through a tunnel and everyone freaked out? The only reason they didn't have killer robots at that time, they just didn't have the effects. The original script for that was like, train goes through tunnel, but there's also killer robots. Every film wants to have killer robots in it. Apocalypse Now, great film, first draft. There was no Colonel Kurtz. Dirty Dancing,
yep.
Killer robot.
Pretty Woman, Richard Gere went down looking for
different kind of robot, mate. Different kind of robot.
Sorry.
Never get your robots mixed up. You get your kill bots and you get your sex bots. You get those mixed up, boy.
So, like I was saying, exploding head.
Am I right? Hey-o. Okay, Chopping Mall does sound like fun, but no, a remake with haunted mannequins sounds dumb. Is that all the news that's fit to print?
Yeah.
It's a weird one, this episode.
There was no. Normally, I like to try and theme the news, but there was no kind of.
But there was nothing also that made me go like, "What? Oh, that's good." It was more like, "Huh, Backdraft." I guess. Okay, fair play.
I didn't know whether you would like to talk a little bit about bringing podcasts to life. There was recently a teaser released for the Parapod, which had been a podcast, which is where two comedians, one a skeptic and one a true believer in ghostly phenomena, talk about particular haunted events, and it ran for 3 seasons. They've actually now, through Kickstarter funding, funded a movie. So they released a teaser, and I'm really intrigued to see how that premise gets onto the screen, you know, like the skeptic and the believer, and I'm sure it's going to be funny. But that's more of a comedy. And then there's about to be a movie premiere on Netflix called Come Sunday, which is based on a This American Life story.
Okay.
This American Life benefits from the fact that it's narrative radio. So you can turn one of those...
Well, that's, again, it's similar to, like, you know, films have been made from articles and then heavily fictionalised, things like that. Of course, I'm thinking about Die Hard 4.
I thought you meant more like Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, that was based on an article.
Yeah. And then, of course, we've had Mark Maron's TV show, Maron, which is kind of, it cleverly uses his podcast as like a kind of jumping off point for like...
Comedy Bang Bang translated the shtick of the podcast to a television format, but changed it enough for television.
But most recently, and the one that's sort of, I think from our point of view, really bothers me, is Zach Braff is now producing, directing and starring in a TV show called Alex Inc., where he gives up his cushy job because he wants to tell real stories about real people and starts a podcast company.
He's a cunt. Oh, is that based on the guy that did he launched a podcast company, but he did a podcast about launching the podcast company?
Yeah,
which
he used to be a producer on This American Life.
That was quite a good show, that, actually, which name escapes me, unfortunately. So this is the thing, like, I actually think Garden State isn't as bad as people now make out to be. I think it's a decent enough indie film with a lot of flaws, but the problem is when it came out, people were going nuts. It's a bit like if you were to say, like, a Shin song's going to change your life. Oh, be like, this is a good song. Changing your life's a bit much. But similarly, people were like, oh man, Zach Braff's actually this really talented guy. And he's not without talent. Scrubs is a funny show. He's very good in Scrubs. I got a lot of time from that. But this just sounds like, what, he's a high-paid executive that gives up to start a podcast company. Yeah. I hope it ends with him on the street because he can't afford to fucking live anywhere. Don't get me wrong, I moderately enjoy doing this. I mean, not even that's a push. But I'll tell you what I'm not doing it for, the fucking sweet podcast cash.
I know. Right? That's the thing, the folly of beginning a podcast thinking, I'm going to retire on this money.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Yes.
Don't make fucking films about how you're going to give up riches when you're already rich. That fucking annoys me. I hate people. I hate Zach Braff. I like Scrubs. It annoys me that he's shit.
Last talked about in these parts when he made the Going in Style remake, which took away all the good elements of the original.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, it's got a happy ending.
I think they all get young again.
Yeah, they go to the Cocoon Hyatt retirement home. And
So, however, I do think then we obviously need to start pitching like film versions of this.
Okay,
right? Yeah, because I mean, it couldn't be about us talking about movies, right? So what we would do is it would just be about our relationship, right? We'll guss it up, maybe like a private detective show or something, right? You know, where we solve mysteries. So I'll be like the cool private detective, probably out boning every night. And having lots of exciting adventures. And then there's this old guy that just maybe comes round and cleans the office every now and again. Would you think that would be?
Can I be told for the shit?
Yeah, they already made a film of our lives and it was called Lethal Weapon. I would also let Patsy Kensit die. Yeah, I think it's important they do glamorise podcasters' lives. Do you know what I mean? Podcaster lives matter. It's good. We need more representation. Hopefully there'll be more roles for middle-aged doughy white dudes.
So few of those.
And in no way would that be a selfish thought from me. If it could just, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, podcasting's cool, guys. As I say this in a cold basement, looking at Alan's frankly dead eyes.
Let's talk about something we like talking about, eh?
Is it time for our favourite segment?
You know it is.
That's right, it's Trailer Talk! Bum, bum, bum. Alan, we made reference to it earlier on in the episode. Shall we start with Mary Poppins?
Yeah, Mary Poppins Returns. I had no idea that Mary Poppins was a series of books. I had no idea that she was a beloved character beyond
the film,
beyond the movie,
which is
wonderful. But you know what? See, if I was going to cast about for a new Mary Poppins, and obviously Julie Andrews isn't available,
lazy bastard,
Emily Blunt is a pretty goddamn good choice.
Good choice. Yeah, I thought so. I was like, you know what? I can see that.
Yeah. Poppins was actually in so little of the trailer. That was what was interesting.
Yeah.
It was all hints of here's the previous adventures. There was little like visual clues of things from the Mary Poppins we know, the house, the kite, like all of that stuff, and it sort of whips through that to make you go, oh, okay, right, this is where we are. But then you meet these new kids, which is obviously going to be the new story.
Yeah, I mean, it is a teaser trailer, so I think it's quite nicely done that way. And what I liked about it is that both the title and the trailer, with a wee bit of change of the trailer, would almost make it like a horror film.
Yes,
it's like Mary Poppins returns, and it's like a desolate house, and it's like magic used to be, and you're like, oh shit, like a kids choir creepily singing chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim charoo, and you're like, oh shit, yeah. It's like life is fragile, death is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Mary Poppins returns. Oh fuck, she's back. Blood-stained umbrella. Yeah. That's a great film. Love that film. I've mentioned before.
Yes.
My uncle, who was a man's man, loved it for some reason, which I think is great, adorable. I think it's great because it is just such fun. Even like a day when I was like, I don't really know if there should be a sequel. I don't know how they're possibly going to recapture the magic. But then I did immediately be like, man, that first one was so good. Yeah, like I just kept thinking about the first one and smiling.
That first part of the trailer made me go, you know what? I want to watch Mary Poppins. Obviously, during that trailer, I saw Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton fame.
He played for Hamilton Accies.
He played for Accies. There he is on the bike as a chimney sweep, and I just thought, oh my God, please tell me Lin-Manuel's going to do a Cockney accent, please.
Yeah, whoever it is has to do a really bad Cockney accent, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, because the first one is so well done and is so, I think, just so joyful. But I wonder, in today's cynical world, Al, kids nowadays are all like cyberbullying and MCAT. You know,
I would have agreed with you had Paddington 2 not come out last year, which is a wonderful, heartwarming, funny, intelligent, smart, whimsical film that really does buck the trend, and the success and the reception that film has had, and the first Paddington as well. Right. And as an adult who is quite sniffy about kids' films because I'm forced to see a lot of them, to see a couple of kids' movies when you're actually like, wait, this is genuinely funny, really worthwhile. I think if Mary Poppins can capture some of that Paddington style magic, I think we could be in for a really great movie.
This sounds like a cautious yes.
Yeah, I wonder if the fantastical elements in this movie are just going to be all CGI. I would actually quite like some...
Like Rob Botton's Mary Poppins.
Yeah, but I just wonder how are the fantastical elements going to be represented.
What I did like is that when it showed you like her kind of like silhouette like flying down, it looked a bit shitty like the original. And I like generally went, oh, that's good. Like, well done. Don't make her like come down and like the superhero drop. You're like Superman or something.
Just, stick the landing.
And you see like dust fly up, you know. You've slightly persuaded me, and I'm possibly a cautious yes, because I was a very much a cautious no in the sense of don't try and fuck with something.
It's cherished by you, so I can absolutely understand why you're very wary about it.
Cautious yes for Mary Poppins Returns. I look forward to Mary Poppins Book of Shadows, which is the next one. Okay, how's about next then we go for Avengers Infinity War?
Oh, I mean, obvious bedfellows.
I mean, speaking of bedfellows, this is of course the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes. That's Spawn, Captain Planet, Mandrake the Magician, and Stripperella.
Enemies fumble and scream and confusion. Lothar.
Lovely. We're going to do some stuff with the Phantom
Defenders of the Earth. Defenders.
I loved that TV show, man.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the thing.
Yes.
When I was scribbling down that dumb joke there, Mandrake the Magician's a good pull, but I need something ridiculous to finish it on.
Supergran?
Did Stanley write or put his name to some sort of Pamela Anderson sponsored superhero show about a stripper, right? And my other part of my brain was going, no, Chris, because that can't possibly be real. And then the other part of my brain went, you definitely remember this. So I looked this up. Stripperella is an American adult animated comedy series created by Stan Lee for Spike. The lead character is a stripper named Erotica Jones, who is secretly the superheroine / secret agent Stripperella.
Oh my God.
Stripperella's powers include enhanced reflexes and senses.
Of course
this all seems relatively normal. Yeah. An astonishing intelligence. Superhuman strength. Jumping extremely high. Oh, this is all fine. Sexy martial arts. Sexy martial arts. This is
Wow.
She's also able to use her extravagant blonde hair as an effective parachute.
Oh my fucking me.
Here's another bit that I quite enjoy though. She has a brother named Chipperella, who also happened to be a stripper living the double life as a superhero and secret agent. I just had this thing, I was like, Stanley definitely did like a stripper superhero with Pamela Anderson. And I had to look that up and I had to share that.
Wowzers.
Yeah. I'm just going to say Stanley's probably just putting his name in a lot of shit that he's not actually doing, surely.
That's kind of been Stanley's career, is putting his name on stuff.
True, very true.
Jack Kirby all the way.
Team Kirby.
Yeah.
So from that dumb joke, I went
Comes
down a
the greatest
Wikipedia.
all-star.
Yeah, but yes, of course it's not Spawn, Captain Planet, Mandrake and Stripperella. It is, of course, the Avengers that we've seen from the Marvel movies. We've got Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, loving it.
What has led to this movie is insane.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the internet meme of it's the most ambitious crossover of all time. This has been going back since Iron Man, which was, what was that, 2009?
2008. And what is it, 19 films? Is that where we're at now?
God knows, leading up to this event. Fantastic. Really excited about it. Because it's going to be a 2-part film. They've not named the second half of it.
Is the running time not up at like 156 minutes or something? It's going to be like a big old movie.
But there's also going to be a second part to it.
Yeah.
But they haven't announced the title of it, which like a lot of people said it because I guess something big's going to happen in the first part,
right.
and they're going to name the second part once you've seen the first. But it looks cool. It's got everybody that's been great. We've talked here quite a lot in Trailer Talk about how Marvel kind of get it right. Even their worst films are okay. I would say about 90% of them have been good to really good fun, to even maybe a couple of great films.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm in.
Well, if I can just play devil's advocate just
Love
for
it.
a moment. Yeah.
Can you put on like a devilish voice?
Oh, I wish.
Can you put in an advocate's voice?
God's an absentee landlord.
Nice. Nice.
That was my impression of your impression of Al Pacino.
It was pretty good. Let's do an episode just in our Al Pacino voices.
Okay.
See how many listeners we lose.
I love the scent of a woman.
Yeah, the things I'm worried about, Thanos looks pretty janky.
Yeah, I must admit, like, it's his chin.
There's something in the scale of the character and also the palette, because it's also real worldy.
Yeah.
That he really does stand out, especially because what is slightly disappointing about that is I really thought in Thor Ragnarok they finally really nailed the Hulk, that the big CGI part, like they really nailed that down.
I think it might be more character design, though.
Yeah, but again, I'm hoping that maybe this is just reasonably early footage, and by the time the actual film's in the can or the butt,
thank you,
that it's going to be polished off. So Thanos looks a little bit janky, and I know it's a long film, as I've said, but I just worry that the thing that we're most excited about is actually going to be its greatest failing, which is there's so many heroes in it. Can we get around everybody and give everybody suitable screen time to actually service the movie?
One thing I would say is that the guys that are directing it, the Russo brothers, did such a great job with
Captain America, Winter Soldier, and
Civil War, which that one more to the point.
Two of the better of the canon.
But also I think Winter Soldier's a better film than Civil War. But I think Civil War points more to my lessening of fears is that also had to juggle a fuckload of characters and story, and they actually did it quite elegantly. That made me go, oh, no wonder they've given these guys the big everybody meets up, because they're really good at getting that ensemble mix right. So I kind of have a bit of faith in them.
Chris Evans, the way he's speaking, he's sort of like done with Cap, where he keeps saying like sort of like after the next one we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
There's been talk for a while that Robert Downey Jr.'s really keen to move on. So I wonder actually if these next two films might bring a few big surprises, because
that's the thing,
it might be like a kind of full stop on phase 3.
That I think that they're going like, this is going to be the big culmination. Are there maybe going to be character deaths? Is it then going to reboot? Who knows? I'm personally going to try and stay out of any sort of spoiler talk myself. Before films are released, before I get a chance to see them, I'm not one of those people that reads up and stuff. I still like the kind of almost childlike thing of just going to a film and being like, show me what you got.
I was hesitant even to watch this, but it's such a big trailer.
We have to talk about it because of this fucking podcast that we've fucking chained ourselves to. Thanks for listening, guys.
This is a rod we've made for our own back, but don't worry, if Zach Braff's taught me anything, like fame and fortune's just around the corner.
We're going to be swimming in money and pussy. Yeah, I think we're both obviously in for this. Sounds
Yeah,
great.
I
Looks
mean, it's
great.
inevitable.
So I think next then, shall we talk about Sicario?
Yeah.
Day of the Soldado. Strangely, not about the former Tottenham forward Roberto Soldado.
Because that's what you come here for, people, is franchising football jokes.
Sorry, if you are a listener who doesn't know much about soccer, Roberto Soldado played for Tottenham and he also played for Spurs. So that's if you want to drop in any football knowledge, say he played for those two, you'll be fine. I can't not say Tottenham without sounding like Ozzy Ardiles from the 70s. I don't know why. No, this is, of course, it's a sequel to Universal Soldado, and then which was a sequel to Captain America: The Winter Soldado, and of course the other one in the franchise, Soldad, oh brother, where art thou? I'm particularly proud of the reach of Soldad, oh brother, where art thou? Fuck it, if you don't like it, ask for your money back. This is a sequel to Sicario, a film I only watched about a month ago.
Well, that's what I'm really annoyed about, is because it was on Netflix. I got halfway through it. Because of family life, I don't often get to sit down and watch a film end to end, which is really frustrating. You know, it's off Netflix before I got to finish it. So
you never saw the musical number?
I didn't see the Dancing Penguins, no. What I have seen, unless this film goes wildly off the rails with some kind of musical number at the end, what I've seen in that movie is brilliant. It's exactly what I want in cinema. Intelligent, action and story driven. Like, it is nail biting, there's layers to it. But what a time for Josh Brolin.
Right.
You know, here he is as Thanos, and now he's back in Sicario. Obviously Emily Blunt was in Sicario, but she's not back in Sicario 2. The writer said, well, there was nothing really in her story. She was an audience surrogate for the first one.
Yeah, it would have been kind of strange to have her be in the second one, just because it would have felt like Sicario 2, if she was in it, would have been like the prequels to Star Wars, where, you know, it's just like they're finding stuff for C-3PO to do, and you're like, doesn't need to be here. Just fucking cut the shit, man.
Yeah.
My capsule review of Sicario is, I thought it was much better than the trailer that I saw. Really, really enjoyed it. Probably not quite as good as people say it is. That was a solid like 72%. Great stuff happened. There's some great scenes.
Yeah.
Some really brutal scenes as well, which I always enjoy. Like when some brutality happens.
And also a film like that, kind of content-wise, that has a female as the lead character, the character that you are following.
Thankfully, in the sequel, they've got rid of that. Get rid of the dame. Oh, God, you know what she was always talking about? Periods and bunny rabbits. Oh, she's kept putting up posters on New Kids on the Block. Woman, right? Oh, let's just get brawling and fucking back. Let's talk about some guy stuff. I don't want to go into too much, but basically, I think Sicario, a really good film, probably not quite as good as people were saying. And I went into it with pretty low expectations. Thought some sequences were really brilliantly filmed. There's a lot to enjoy in it. The sequel, interesting, because I don't know about your thoughts, but Sicario itself, it was pleasingly stuck between like big Hollywood movie and like real gritty drama, and so it doesn't play out the way you would expect it. This looks more like a kind of big Hollywood film in the sense of it looks like there's double crosses, it looks like somebody's going to be maybe a bit more humanized than the last film, and he's got a wee kid and that could be cute. While I think that all is kind of a bad idea, it might end up being quite good to watch. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Intellectually, it's not as good. Thematically, it's probably not as good. However, like, it could be really good fun.
My impression from what I've seen of it is it's very much about the morally ambiguous grey area in law enforcement. So it seems like there's no good guys. And this trailer for the sequel, the setup's quite clear from the get-go. Brolin's character is charged with putting the cartels at war with one another, essentially to try and get them to wipe themselves out.
I'm not sure if we needed this film.
If it's a patch on
the first half,
as long as
the first half,
it's a precarious position for me, because like for me, the second half of this first movie could shit the bed, and then I'm like, oh.
Do you know what I enjoyed? I quite enjoyed the first like 40 minutes of Prometheus, and look how that turned out.
Well, yes,
so I mean,
fucking dumpster fire, yeah.
So just, you know, much like Mary Poppins Returns. Sicario Day of the Soldado, I'm a cautious yes.
Obviously, once I've finished up my showing of this movie, I could be in.
So finally, we've got part of the Harry Potter world prequel series, Fantastic Beasts, The Crime of Grindelwald? What? What's it called?
Grindelwald.
Fantastic Beasts, The Crime of Grindelwald. Oh, and those crimes? That's right, a series of sexually motivated murders. Wait, is that not the case, Al?
Yeah. It's
It'd be amazing. It's just like it's just based on like some awful serial killer. It's like this Harry Potter fucking series is terrible.
we've been over before, of course, your
No,
relationship
you made
with
the Harry
it.
Potter reference earlier in this episode, but I was just like, sure. But
Yeah.
I guess that's a good reference, Al. Well done.
And so you haven't seen Fantastic Beasts. So I'm interested to know, what are your impressions of this trailer just as a movie?
I have literally no interest because it's that prequel thing, and I get it because if I was into Harry Potter, I would probably just be like, what? They're talking about fucking Clark Griswold? There's like a big bit where the police go, I guess, are the magic police? I don't really know. They're the dream police. They're inside of my head. I guess they're magic police go and they're like, oh, you've sent Eddie Redmayne? What's his name?
Red Band trailer.
Yep. You've sent him to France, and it's like the guy's got his back turned, and they're like, you've sent this guy to France, and he's like, I think you'll find that Eddie Redmayne or whatever his name is doesn't take orders well, and he turns round, it's Jude Law, and they go, oh, is that right, Dumbledore? Now I've heard this name. I'm not like completely like oblivious. I've heard of Harry Potter, Hermione,
Yes.
Rupert.
Ron, played by Rupert.
Oh fuck! Is that the actor's name? Damn it! I was going to say Rupert Grint. That's the actor's name.
Ronald Weasley.
Ron
played
Weasley,
by
right? Okay.
Rupert Grint.
And Dumbledore, right?
Yes.
And then there's like a hat.
Plays a big part.
Yeah. So Dumbledore, was that Robbie Coltrane?
No,
No.
he played Hagrid. Dumbledore
He was Hagrid.
was Richard Harris, and then Michael Gambon.
Oh, Michael Gambon. Okay, so like, there's this big one who's like Dumbledore, and I'm like, I mean, if I was in a Harry Potter, I'm sure that would just be like, whoa, it's a young, sexy Dumbledore. Fucking hell, man. Woo! But to me, it was just like, all right, fucking. Guess Jude Law's still getting gigs. Good for that guy. You know, and I don't know. I don't care. I've got no in on it. So purely as a trailer for somebody who has seen all this stuff with their kids like twice maybe, and been read for the books and all that sort of stuff, do all those references make you go, whoa?
Going back to your Star Wars Episode 1 thing with C-3PO, my issue is when I watch this, all I can think is you're now making this thing where you're having to
join dots and
yes,
stuff. Yeah,
that's the thing, to see a young sexy Dumbledore. But the thing is that everything we know in the books and the movies about Dumbledore is he's like a very traditional wizard, so to see him in like a muggle suit with a pocket watch and stuff, that doesn't add up, that doesn't connect for me. And that's the issues where I'm like, so the sort of house of cards are building, it's not really stacking up. Obviously there's a lot of debate about Johnny Depp, and his casting in this movie is divisive for people, and I fully understand that. And so you can see that the filmmakers are very clever and that they've really held back on him. So it's very much focusing on sexy Dumbledore. Like it's like a magic trick. It's look over here, misdirection.
Yeah. So speaking of the sexy Dumbledore, is that the dude? He was gay in the books, and then now they're like, oh, maybe he's not gay. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, after the fact, J.K. Rowling
just kidding, Rowling
alluded to Dumbledore being gay.
Right.
But now that Jude Law is in, I don't know what the scenario is there.
There seemed to be like a kind of rolling back of it. But here's the thing, right? So J.K. Rowling says this after the books, and then
but before the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Yeah. So because if it's just not mentioned at all, because then that's fine. Like if you just don't mention it, that's fine, because that's in keeping with the actual text. But I guess, is there like rumours that like is there a bit where it shows his wife?
Within the books, there's not really any, like, Dumbledore reads as asexual. It's almost like his entire being is just magic.
Right.
You know, it's referenced several times that like he's powerful beyond.
Right, maybe he sticks a wand up his butt.
He just seems like one of those academics who's consumed by his passion.
So do you think it was J.K. Rowling was that maybe her going like, I can get in some of this sweet inclusivity action without actually having to do anything about it? Do you know what I mean? Like by going, oh yeah, see that guy who we never mentioned anything about his sex life? Super gay, guys. And now that it's like she's then having a prequel, she's like, oh, that actually might upset some people. Ooh. I don't understand it.
It seems clumsily mishandled
and
how
also,
they're trying to please people.
Obviously, I'm a straight man. I'm not a gay person, but I would maybe find it a bit offensive. I was a gay person and I was a big Harry Potter fan. You know, why don't in your next book, if you really care, just write a character who just happens to be gay? I had read something about this. I didn't really understand it. It just, I don't know. It seemed strange.
I think it's well intentioned mentioned, but slightly misplaced.
Much like this podcast. So are you out for this?
Yeah.
Unlike Dumbledore, you're out for this. Come on.
The original Fantastic Beasts was a middling beasts and where to find them.
Middling beasts.
And I had an issue. One thing I will say in its favour is that in the first film, they're trying to recreate a lot of like old New York, which I understand is difficult in this day and age. But the CGI in the film was terrible. Even just a simple walking down a street, it's horrible. At least from the trailer, it looks like they've sort of neatened up a little bit of the visual effects.
Okay, so Poppins, cautious yes. Infinity War, we're in. Sicario, Day of the Soldado, cautious yes.
Back to cautious, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cautious yes. Fantastic Beasts, it's a no. So that, of course, was the end of Trailer Talk. Bum, bum, bum. So yeah, Al, it's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Let's do our recommendations. What shite horror film have you seen recently?
I've not. During the festive period, bought myself a Hitchcock box set. So I've actually been going through, just watching through these Hitchcocks. What's your favourite Hitchcock? That's always a good question.
Oh, I don't know if it's the best one, but my favourite one, North by Northwest.
I love North by Northwest. It's got to be top 3 for me. My favourite one is actually one of his flops, which is The Trouble with Harry.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that one.
And it's a comedy about a dead body, and everybody finds this dead body, and everyone thinks they're responsible for the death.
Oh, that's funny.
It's great, and I like it because it's so out of his normal milieu.
Yeah.
But there's enough Hitchcock in there to make it fun. Really great fun.
So that's 2 out of your top 3.
Yeah.
Don't leave us in suspense, Mysterio.
Well, the third one is got to be 39 Steps. It's so great. So yeah, I love the 39 Steps. Love North by Northwest.
I mean, North by Northwest is almost like the perfect film for me. North by Northwest has a line that I use sometimes if I can get away with it. I'd never, of course, do it with the Elan of Cary Grant, but it's something like I've got 3 ex-wives and 4 bartenders to support. It's just that's so fucking good.
My favourite's when he says, I don't mind a bit of abduction now and again, but I do have tickets for the theatre this evening.
I mean, yeah, North by Northwest is just, it's everything that a kind of action thriller should be.
But it was it's nice when you come across one that you've not seen before. I had never seen Saboteur before, and and Saboteur is very much like the 39 Steps. It's just like a guy on the run.
Yeah, my sort of lesser one that I like is Rope.
Yes, brilliant.
Really well done.
There's a Psychoville episode which is riffs very much on Rope.
Wow, so basically your recommendation is Hitchcock is dead good at stuff.
Hitchcock
Watch loads of his
is
films.
Brilliant, yeah.
I'm with you. That's a good recommendation. You can't go wrong.
Like you were saying you were busy. Have you actually been able to...
It's been crazy recently with other stuff that I've been doing. So like, genuinely I was like, I've got a day off. Oh great, I need to watch 2 Tomb Raider movies. Thanks for that, Al. Jesus Christ, I must have watched something. Hold on. Oh, do you know what I watched, man? Which was shit, but like an enjoyably so way. Tales from the Crypt. Demon Knight.
Oh, Demon Knight, that's the one with Billy Zane.
Yeah.
I really like both Bordello of Blood and Demon Knight.
I've not seen the second one, which is Bordello of Blood, but let me be very clear, very happy with that title.
Yeah.
Got the Crypt Keeper in it, and I really like it. Opens with like some woman with big boobs getting stabbed. I guess, and then it cuts to reveal that this is a film that the Crypt Keeper is directing, and he turns to the camera.
Yeah, because he's got in the classic sort of 40s movie direction. He's got like the big loud hailer and the beret, and he's in a safari jacket.
He's like, I'm calling cut. Like, all right, Crypt Keeper. When the film finishes, there's then a bit where the Crypt Keeper goes to the premiere and they throw him out or something, and it's just like, I know you got this made because it's a Tales from the Crypt thing, and I love the Crypt Keeper because it's so dumb and stupid, but I was like, why is this the start and the end of this fucking film? This makes no sense. But then part of my brain was like, yeah, fuck it, and it's like quite dumb fun. Billy Zane was quite good at playing like a real evil demon.
Yeah, I think he is. He's a good bad guy. Even in Titanic, like he's a
I've
good
never seen
bad
it,
guy.
But I hear that, and my heart will go on.
And Dead Cam as well.
Yeah, he was good in Dead Cam.
So
that's right.
I mean, he is good at being like a kind of cold-eyed psycho.
Yeah, like because it's got like a fucking really good cast. So I had a lassie called Brenda Back in it who was in American Gothic. Like she's done, I went, it's a lassie from American Gothic. Jada Pinkett Smith. Though I guess she was just Jada Pinkett at the time.
Yeah.
But there's like a young Thomas Hayden Church in it, who's like plays this like irredeemable douchebag. Brilliant performance from him, like super fun. And CCH Pounder, who every time I seen something, right? That's what I was thinking as well. I was like, man, she's always really fun in things. She should be in more things.
Yeah.
She's also called CCH Pounder, which sounds amazing. amazing. So that was quite fun.
I think if that's the kind of film you're looking for,
Yes.
it's brilliant.
Like, it's not Sideways.
Yeah. It's not.
Like, there's 2 Thomas Hayden Church films you can make, right? So Al, that's another episode in.
It is one in the bag. Number 49, Chris.
Which means our next one will be the Big 5-0. But we're going to be talking about 2 little films, very similarly titled, only 1 letter of difference. So that's right. Our friend Ridley Scott's first entry in this franchise, Alien, and James Cameron's greatest sequel of all time, maybe the greatest film of all time, Aliens. Holy shit.
Stop your grinning and drop your linen.
I mean... Literally, it's just going to be the sign of the 2 of us jerking it. Guys, if you want to get in touch with us with any sort of film-related nonsense or suggestions for future episodes, you can email us at diminishingpod@gmail.com. You can get us on Twitter at diminishingpod. On Facebook, we're Diminishing Returns Podcast. You can @message us at Diminishing Returns Pod. We have a blog on diminishingpod.wordpress.com, and on YouTube, if you search for Diminishing Returns, you'll find the episodes. We're an independent podcast. Unlike Zach Braff, we do not expect to make a fortune doing this, but we'd love to have more listeners. We would like to keep growing the show, so the best thing you can do for us is rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. 5 stars, you know the score, don't be dicks. And if you could tell your friends about the show and send them a link to the specific show, guys, send them a link, put it on their iPhone, their Android phone, their Hawaii, their Palm Pilot, whatever people listen to it on. Get them listening, get them involved, and be in touch. We'll see you all next time out in the cold darkness of space where people will hear us make lame dick jokes.
Bye, guys.
I've never seen Lady and the Tramp.
No.
I'm aware it's about like spaghetti and some shit. Is that right?
It's not really about spaghetti.
I mean, that's what it seems like. It's been sponsored by Big Spaghetti. They got their mitts and everything, haven't they?